Now, sweet potatoes are the ultimate survival food. We harvest them in the fall of the year. We store them without any electricity, without any refrigeration all winter long. They're just simply in the barn. We get ready for sweet potatoes, we go get them, and we prepare them.
So to get these ready for the sweet potato souffle for Mr. Hoss, I add a little bit of olive oil on the potato. I've cut off any bad spots that I could see. I'm just going to rub this oil on them and then put a little bit of salt. I like to add a little bit of salt on the top of them, and this is optional. Then we'll wrap them up really well and put them in the oven on 350 for about an hour until they get really soft. You can touch them with a pot holder and you can feel them that they're soft enough to cut up then. Also put them in my iron frying pan in case anything was to leak out during cooking. I don't have a mess in the bottom of the stove. So first we're going to do the topping in the bottom. Some people just put this on top, but Hollis likes the pecans on the top and the bottom. So you need a cup of brown sugar, 2/3 stick of butter melted, 2/3 cup of all-purpose flour, and 2 cups of chopped pecans. And we're just going to get this mixed in really well. When you're adding the flour, do it gently so that it doesn't plump up. And once we get it mixed really well, then we'll add the pecans to it. These are some pecans I had in the freezer. I'm just giving them a quick chop, nothing real fine or smooth. They're pretty chunky here, and I'm going to add it to the mixture for the top and bottom of my souffle. So I'm going to take this and kind of make a crust with it and cook it in the oven, and then I'll put my souffle on top, and the remainder of this crust or topping will go on the top of the souffle. So here I'm going to spray the bottom of this pan with some olive oil to make the cleanup a little easier. I'm going to take about half of this mixture and press it in the bottom of this pan. I'll just take this measuring cup to make it a little bit easier. You just want a thin layer on the bottom of this pan. And we're going to cook it in the oven on 350 for about 20 to 30 minutes until it gets a pretty golden brown and a little bit bubbly. You do not want to overcook it or undercook it. So I'm going to stick this right in here with the potatoes I've got going. Let them cook both at the same time. So now here's about 25 minutes later, and you can see it's firmed up. It's golden brown around the edges. So we're going to take it out of the oven. And our potatoes are ready. We're going to take those out and make the filling. These are steaming hot here. Best to let them cool, but I'm going to get me a fork here to help in the peeling. Stick that fork down in there and make sure there's no resistance and you know that your potato is done. I'm just going to pop these peelings off. And when you're doing this, if there's any bad spots, go ahead and cut those off. You don't want any of that in your potato. So here I have about 3 cups of the mashed sweet potatoes that are cooked. And to this, I'm going to add a 1/3 stick of butter, a 1/2 cup of sugar, and you can leave the sugar out if you want to. And we're going to mix that up good. And there's one ingredient that this also calls for, and I just totally left it out, and it tasted fine. And that's a half cup of milk. And it said more milk to soften, but mine was soft enough. Then I'm going to add a generous amount of vanilla flavoring and then 2 eggs that's been slightly beaten. And that's all there is to it. Very easy and simple to make. Once we get this all mixed up, we'll just transfer it to our baking dish that we have the crust in the bottom. I also added, the recipe doesn't call for it, but some ground cinnamon just to give it a little bit of that fall flavor that I like. You could use allspice or any type of spices that you like in your mixture. So here we go. I'm going to transfer it on top of the pecan mixture that's already been cooked. Oh, and it smells so good. This is probably the third one I've made this year. Like I say, this is Greg's favorite way to eat sweet potatoes. So now I'm going to take the rest of that mixture, the brown sugar, the butter, the pecans, the flour, and put it on top. Just spread it out evenly. As Greg says, you cannot have too many pecans. I was also cooking some radishes this day. Just going to scoot those over and put this back in. And we'll leave it there on 350 for about an hour. So now it's all bubbly. The top is slightly brown. And I'm going to add some marshmallows. And this is optional too. But we like just a little bit of marshmallows on the top of ours. Not real heavy. I have used that marshmallow cream before too, and it works well. So I'll stick it back in the oven just till those marshmallows get brown. And here they are. I'm going to dip some up and let Mr. Haas give us a taste test. Look at that goodness.
My favorite way to eat sweet potatoes is sweet potato souffle. Sweet potato souffle, for me, has to have pecans and a lot of them. Now, I don't care for raisins in my sweet potato souffle. I like marshmallows on top, I like pecans on bottom, and pecans on top. Think about it as a pecan pie on steroids. That's the way I love mine. Delish.